Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome to the second episode of Mariners TV. We're live here from JC Entertainment at West Gosford. I'm your host for today, Tyson Scott. I'm joined by Carly Carmichael. Carly, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back and really good to see you again.
Thank you.
How's it been back on the coast since you've been back? You're now out of isolation, which I'm sure is nice, even though obviously can't really do too much, but a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks to be honest, but I guess it's good to be back here safe on the Central Coast. I wish I could obviously go to a Mariners game, but unfortunately I guess everyone's probably in the same situation. So on behalf of everyone from the Mariners, we just wanted to start off by saying a huge, we're just sending our wishes to all Mariners fans. We hope you're staying safe during these crazy times. We know it's hard to stay inside, but with no football happening, we hope that you're practicing your social distancing, just like Carly and I we are right now. So we're here for Mariners TV. It's going to be a fortnightly initiative on Thursday afternoons by the Central Coast Mariners. So we're hoping to start off like we did last week by providing everyone with some Mariners content. So we've got a huge show planned today. We've got championship-winning goalkeeper and English Premier League keeper with Brighton and Hove Albion, Matty Ryan, joining us. We've got Monty, Gumps, and we've got Staj joining us as well. So we've got plenty to keep Mariners fans entertained. We'll try and keep it as light and casual as possible throughout the afternoon. As we like to do at the Mariners, we like to keep things pretty casual. But like we said, on a more serious note, it is quite a testing time for everyone, including our Central Coast Mariners family. So it's really good to be hearing that the Mariners are working on an initiative to keep supporters safe. So Carly, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Mike Charlesworth, who's the club's chairman, he was very passionate about getting a program up and running for our members so that we can actually give something back to them during this time. So we've got a couple of things happening. We couldn't obviously do it without our sponsors as well, who've been fantastic. So we've got toilet paper has been donated by Synergy FM. We've got Nippies are donating some bottled water. We've also got lots of Easter eggs thanks to Central Coast Confectionery, which I'm sure will come in handy over the weekend. Some fruit from Fruit for All. Baker's Delight at Erina have donated some amazing baked goods. Then there's also hampers and a few other things. So we're encouraging everyone to, if you need assistance over this time, give this a call on 4353 7200. We'll make sure that we pop the number up a little bit later just so you do have that. If you know someone that is doing it tough, don't be afraid to reach out because we've got staff there answering the phones that are ready to help. Even just little things that we're doing. Dan Challoner, everyone knows Dan the man.
Yep.
So he actually spent the day just calling a couple of our members, I guess, who were in that at-risk category as well, and just calling in and checking on them and see how they were going. Made a few birthday calls as well. We had I think we had 19 members who had got a birthday today, so very popular date to be born. And so he gave them a call, said happy birthday. But then also yesterday, so when we announced our initiative online yesterday, he actually went out and did a bit of a delivery. So Jenny Dovey, who is with Dovmac Mining and Construction, it was actually her birthday yesterday, and her husband Michael's actually unfortunately stuck over in Western Australia with work. So Dan popped over and dropped off a little birthday gift. So I think we've got some footage coming up.
Footage from Dan Challoner. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, let's see what he's got here.
Hi guys, it's Dan Challoner from Mariners TV. I hope you guys are all well. Just out and about to deliver a birthday present to one of our fantastic family members here, the rock behind DMC, Jenny. We're just going to go and deliver this now, so keep an eye out and watch my non-contact delivery. Talk soon. Hey guys, how are ya? How you doing? Is Mum around? Hey Mum, happy birthday. How you doing? So I've got a little gift for Jen here. I'll leave non-contactable for her. So Jen, we found out it was your birthday today, so we've got some goodies for you, so I'll just leave them here for you. So it's non-contactable for you, all right?
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Happy birthday, love for the Mariners. We know Michael's all the way in WA and we're thinking about your load, so hope you have a lovely birthday on behalf of us and enjoy the rest of your day, darling, all right? So take care, my absolute pleasure. See you, lovely. Bye.
Amazing work from Dan. We absolutely love him. Also love the extreme close-ups of your chin. Very good, very good.
Which one?
Another thing that I did forget to mention before from one of our sponsors, so Mate, we couldn't do it without them. Everyone who's working from home, I can imagine if you're anything like us, our internet, previously was very average, just because obviously you've got Netflix running for the kid, you've got 2 people trying to do Zoom calls and things for work, so it was quite slow. We have actually moved over to Mate. So Mate also have another offer that they're offering to all Mariners fans. All you need to do is email mariners@letsbemates.com.au with your name, contact number and email address, the address where you're requiring the service and the best time to contact you. And they will actually give you a call and have a chat about the options. By using that email address, you will be a Mariners priority member. So they're going to contact you. They've got a couple of special deals for Mariners members and fans, so you'll be able to get those deals by using that email address.
Yeah, so I think, the Mariners have always been such a big community club. To see someone like Dan Challoner out there doing what he does pretty much every day for the Mariners, I think is really good for the fans to see. I just wanted to quickly share one of my favourite stories about Dan Challoner. It was a couple of years ago. Like it happens every year, there's a really big stress to kind of get membership packs out there. And this particular year, it was running a little bit behind schedule. No fault of Dan's, obviously. And we're sitting in the office trying to discuss how we would get the membership packs to people. And Dan has these moments where you can see his mind ticking over and you don't really know what he's going to say. In this particular moment, he found out that we had a host of members along the coast of Lake Macquarie. So what Dan had decided to do was he was going to hire a jet ski. He was going to put the membership packs in the jet ski and take them all to the members, so they got them to the members before the first game. So I guess that just kind of explains the kind of guy Dan is and the kind of staff that the Mariners have there today. But on that point, Carly, I guess in these testing times with no football, it's really good to see the Mariners still stepping out in the community and helping their fans. How big of an initiative and focus has that been for you guys at the club? Yeah,
definitely. And we have so many staff that want to be involved in this. We've actually, when we sent out the email from Mike the other day, we actually had a number of members even email in and say, how can we help? How can we be part of it? I'm not doing much at the moment. I've, been stood down or things like that. They actually have the time, and our members actually want to help by calling people or even just doing administration work in the office just to try and keep things ticking over, which it really just shows the loyalty that we've got. And it means so much to us.
It is huge, and we know that people are still being very active on social media. One tip I have for everyone that I've been doing over the last week or so is going back and looking at The Code, a really good documentary series of the Mariners.
Fantastic.
We were talking about it before off air. With the huge craze of sort of sports documentaries that are out there at the moment, you kind of see how ahead of their time the club was, and it's a really good insight and a good time to reflect. One of the guys who was key in that series, if we're ready to take our first guest, we're lucky enough to be joined by Matty Ryan. He's just arrived back into Australia. We've seen some of his home workouts.
So, yes, have been keeping an eye on those.
We're going to chat to you about that today. Matty Ryan, what are your memories from Matty Ryan in his time at the Mariners?
I guess I'd actually only just started at the Mariners when Matty Ryan was there, and also he was also fairly new as well, so very quiet, very shy, but I used to have a tub of lollies on my desk, and I think between him and Bernie Abini, I reckon they went through the entire 2-kilo tub. So, but I'm happy to share.
Yeah. Well, Matt is kind enough to join us. We're just trying to get him on the line now, but I guess like Matty Ryan, during that year there were so many great players. The Mariners have always been blessed to have so many good goalkeepers. Do you have any particular memories from Matty Ryan as a player or during that grand final run that really stand out to you as ones that you'll remember forever?
I guess more just his personality. He's a very humble person, and he has an amazing amount of talent, but he's so grounded, and he just always wants to give back to people, and he's always just wanting to be involved in things. And I guess that's what really stuck out with me, especially being so young. Normally, I guess, you would more expect that of someone a little bit older, but the fact that he sort of had that initiative to really be a part of the community from such a young age, I think has probably helped him get to where he is, because, he is willing to, do things out of the norm. And, you know, I've seen a couple of things he's been doing on social media as well, just probably off his own back because he just wants to give back. So,
yeah. And I think he's always been, I think a lot of the Mariners fans will say, even since he's left the Central Coast Mariners, he's always had that engagement on social media where he'll talk to fans. I know fans from the Central Coast have gone all that way to watch him play, and he's helped them with tickets, given them merchandise. He's always been one of those guys that's really given his time to the fans. So I think that's why he's always going to be someone on the Central Coast that'll be known as a legend.
Yeah, definitely. Also, he's an ambassador for Mate, so gotta love that.
Exactly.
He's alongside Sam Kerr as well. So, yeah, always good. And obviously, Mate approached Matty because they are big football fans. So it's really good to have people in business who actually do appreciate the sport and want to give back.
Yeah, and every time, he's one of those players too that every time we have a community initiative happening on the Central Coast, no matter where he is in the world with the Socceroos or Brighton or whoever it may be, he's always one to sort of reach out, give us some extra promotion. And with his big name now and a huge audience, it's always hugely appreciated when he gets in and involved behind our community initiatives. So it was his birthday yesterday as well, which he spent in isolation. So hopefully when we get him on the show in a minute's time, we'll be able to talk to him about that. But I guess from that season as well, and talking about Mariners players, from a personality point of view, who else sort of stands out to you as someone who was a big highlight in the front office there?
In the front office?
That would come in and always have a joke and be really good to talk to.
Oh, you can't really go past Danny McBreen.
Yeah.
He's generally just a big personality in general. So, you know, I think it was one of the really good squads that we had, just even off the field. You know, you'd always see them popping in and saying hello, and you know, it really had that nice little bond that you were all part of it together. So, and that was really, really, you know, fantastic. And Arnie used to come in all the time, and you know, I know everyone thinks he sort of has a bit of a gruff exterior, but he is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. So
I think that's one thing that the Mariners have always been good for is when a new player, a new coach comes into the club, whether they're grounded already or whether they come in with a bit of a point to prove. I think the Mariners in the Central Coast community have always been really good, you know, to whether it's bring them down a notch or bring them up when they're maybe not so confident. It's one of those clubs that really knows how to select the right people, but if maybe they're not the right people, they find this weird way to really bring them into their own and flourish on the Central Coast.
Yeah, definitely. We mould them to be our own.
Exactly right. I think we're not too far away from Maty Ryan joining us now, and we're just trying to get him here.
I think, yes.
Matty, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Firstly, mate, thank you for joining us. I guess number one thing to say is happy birthday. We know you spent it yesterday in isolation. Can you give us a bit of an update as to how you spent your birthday?
Yeah, you know, obviously didn't get up to too much being here. I can't leave the confines of the room, so it was just a nice quiet party by myself.
Yeah, I saw you enjoyed the peanut butter on toast. Good way to celebrate.
Yeah, it's food that probably brings out my most creative side. So in order to kill some time, I thought I'd try, get a little bit creative and make a bit of a sweet for my birthday.
Nice. And you've also been occupying yourself with some home workouts thanks to Thor. So how have you been going with those?
Yeah, obviously haven't seen Chris Hemsworth, obviously promoting a lot of activity at the moment. You know, obviously with the situation, not a lot of people can get out to the gyms or anything being closed. And yeah, I think there's a lot of creativity and improvisation that's needed. And, you know, I've just been trying to, you know, do exactly that with what I've got around here in order to try to keep in shape.
Matty, I guess it's the obvious question, but you've gone on to huge things since you've left the Central Coast Mariners. Can you give us a little bit of an update or even an insight as to what it's been like for you living a boyhood dream playing in the English Premier League?
Yeah, a whirlwind, man, to be honest. I mean, I don't often get times to sit back and reflect, but, you know, obviously football, you know, off at the minute, I guess, I get a bit of time to sit back, and the journey's been incredible. You know, I've loved every minute of it. Like you say, someone, you know, I'm living proof of someone that, you know, dreams do come true. Growing up as a kid, all I wanted to do was play football, and I just remember fondly as a kid driving in the car with my mum and just, you know, always thinking or questioning if I was ever going to be good enough to get to Europe or become a professional footballer. And just recently I played my 100th game in the Premier League, and I never thought I'd get one, or, you know, I didn't know, you know, what the future had in store. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see what hard work and, drive, hunger, and, passion, and, where that can get you. So it's been enjoyable. It's been great.
Yeah, and so it's a bit of unprecedented times in the Premier League at the moment. How did it all play out? We've seen a lot of the Premier League players keeping active at home and sort of really uniting on social media. How did it all come about?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a lot of uncertainty. I mean, in this situation that we have, we just obviously gone by and trying to deal with the circumstances and what's unfolding, and we're just waiting to see sort of what happens and what's sort of coming, what information we get from the club with the meetings that are all going on, and just sort of waiting to hear from there.
And you mentioned that it's a boyhood dream of yours to play in the Premier League. It is a bit of a time to reflect. What do you miss most about football, specifically playing in the Premier League? I guess you must be hungrier now than ever to get back and get back out there as quickly as you can.
Just that opportunity to go out there and create lifelong memories through being successful. For me, in my life, some of the best memories I've had have been on the football pitch. The majority of them are, to be honest. And going out there and, and facing those sorts of adversities and being exposed to that level of the game, in a game that I love and I've always tried to do my best. There's no better feeling when you can overcome or, rise above, the challenges that you're facing at that level, coming up against the biggest and best players and teams and being successful, in my personal situation, being the goalkeeper, stopping the likes of, some of the best strikers in the world with saves and those types of things. And that's the thing I miss the most.
And we loved having you at the Mariners. Do you have a favourite Mariners moment?
Yeah, it'd have to be my last game for them, winning the grand final. It had obviously been a long time coming. Made a couple of finals before that, but hadn't managed to get over the line. And that coupled with obviously, like I said, creating a memory through being successful, going through a season and, coming out as champion, it doesn't get more successful than that, and therefore the memory doesn't get any better than that. And, I've got fond memories of the fans after the game that day doing the lap of honour, and obviously the support, through that season, and especially on that day, it was, it's always going to be something I'll remember for a long time.
Just to add on that, Matty, I guess the craziness of that grand final as well, that straight from there the team went to South Korea to play Suwon. It went to Suwon, it went to a fan parade in Gosford. Can you give us a bit of an insight as to maybe the celebrations after the game, going to Korea and then coming back to Gosford? It must have been a whirlwind few days, but we'd really love to hear a bit more about an insight as to how those few days played out.
Yeah, well, celebrations you ask, there wasn't any really. We literally went straight to the hotel after the game. I think we had a few beers on the bus and that, and, once we sort of got back to the hotel, we just went to our rooms because we had a flight early the next morning, and we probably defied all sporting research and everything in terms of recovery, because we then flew out that next morning, and I think we landed, the evening before the game the next day, did a light session, and then we went out and played the following day in the Asian Champions League, and we won the game in order to progress through to the group stage. So just funny how it all works out. And then, obviously coming back after that game to that reception we got around Gosford, doing the parade and everything, it was one that was just full of, the emotions that you want to have in sport and in life, full of joy, full of, accomplishment and all that. It was, a very great week for us, Mariners supporters and, people and representatives of the club.
Well, Matty, we remember it really fondly as well.
Yes.
Probably some of the best, or definitely the best sporting memories of our lives.
And that parade, I remember when we were organising it, obviously had a very short time to organise it, and talking about, what kind of numbers we'd expect. And we thought, I think it was during the school holidays or something. And, or no, it was actually during wasn't during the holidays, but it was during the weeks. We thought, I wouldn't get that many people, sort of planned for about 2,000. Then I remember coming around the corner and seeing like 10,000 people and thinking, oh goodness. But it was just one of those overwhelming things. So I can only imagine what it would have been like for you guys arriving in on the bus and seeing all that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see these sorts of traditions done all over the world when teams are successful, and, you know, the parades that happen. And, I mean, obviously Gosford is a little bit smaller on some scales compared to other, you know, sporting teams that have won and gone through big parades in their big cities. But, you know, we had that feeling going down the main street of Gosford there. The streets were packed. That, you know, you couldn't see pavement. It was just covered in you know, blue and yellow, you know, the colours, the jerseys of the supporters and the team. And then we got to the stage, obviously, and looked out there, and you know, there was no grass area there, nothing like that, and everyone was just having a good time. And yeah, it was very memorable. I still got, you know, the photos and videos on my phone, and I go back and have a look at them every now and then, and yeah, got a big smile on my face, and yeah, trying to recreate as many of them as possible in my playing career.
Well, Matty, we just want to say a huge thank you for joining us. We were talking before you came on about not only what a great player you were on the pitch, but even up until now, the attention and the time you give to Mariners fans is something that we all certainly don't take for granted, especially like coming on today in such tough times. So we wish you all the best for the rest of your very long career. We'll be watching, as we always do, with Brighton in all hours of the morning. But thank you so much for joining us, Matty, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
No worries, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, you never forget where you come from. So Mariners will always be an important part of my life. And I wish you guys all the success moving forward.
Cheers, Matty.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
As you can see there, I guess he sort of sums up everything that we're talking about before the interview. What a guy.
I know, and I absolutely love that parade. It just, the photos from it always make me smile. I love it.
Yeah, I guess you know, with the situation that we're in, it's good to see Matty Ryan still slogging away at his hard training as well. So
Yes.
it's good to get a bit of an insight there.
And I guess the same thing's happening even locally. Our academy kids, so we've got our SAPs all the way up to our NPL team. They obviously have had a bit of a grinding halt to their season, but their fantastic coaches have been making sure that they've been keeping active, setting them some challenges every now and then. And a couple of them have actually sent in some videos of the little tricks they've been doing. Some of them, like, freaking, they're so amazing. So we've compiled them all. So we've got a little video here where you'll be able to see one. One of them has actually done something with a basketball, which I think would hurt your foot, but I'm very impressed. So we'll have a look at that. Absolutely fantastic skills from some of our academy players there.
Yeah, I guess, it's one of those, don't try those at home, but I don't think I'd be able to do any of that anyway.
Yeah, no, I do not have the fitness levels or the ability to do any of those. But I guess it's also been really good to see people like Football New South Wales and Central Coast Football have been putting things up on social media, not only, you know, to try and keep yourself, active in that sort of thing, but also to engage. I know a couple of the, NPL teams have been putting on, highlight videos, sort of 8 to 10 minute highlights where you can rewatch games. There's also games that are back on YouTube as well that you can go back and have a look at, and it's been a little bit of fun sort of going back and reliving some of those moments.
Yeah, I guess, and like we were talking about before, there's so many good sports documentaries out there as well.
Yes.
I saw that CCF have been posting a few of the good ones to watch on their channels. I think a few of our Mariners fans have watched Sunderland Till I Die, which is a good one, and there's many good football documentaries out there which there's no time like now to have a look at those. So So yeah, it's a time to, I guess, reflect and consume as much of that as you can.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, with local football, sort of, it's a bit of an unknown at the moment. Everyone's, you know, fingers crossed that we are going to get our full season in. And you know, there's been some fantastic news from Central Coast Council that it is looking like that we could, if we start the season later, they're happy to give us the field so that they do get a full season, which is so important to people, because I think during this time having something to look forward to is really important. I know that's sort of, I can't wait to get back on the pitch with my women's all age 3 Carry On Cougars. You know, every week I'm just, you know, hanging out with them is one of the highlights. So I really can't wait to get back there.
Yeah, and I think more than anything, even you know, beyond a fitness point of view, I guess one thing that you look forward to on a Saturday or a Sunday is catching up with your mates, having a kick, but of course hanging back, having some beers and just catching up with everyone. So
yeah.
I think one of the things we'll see when life is back to normal is sport is going to flourish like it never has before. I think professional sport,
definitely,
grassroots sport. I don't think there's any better way to celebrate the fact that we're back to normal life than by having a kick, by getting down to Central Coast Stadium, or you know, going to an NRL game, an AFL game, an A-League game. There's just so much to look forward to. So I think you know, once we're back in full swing, I think we'll see a side of sport that we've never seen before.
Yeah, of course. And I guess it's one of those other things is that you don't really appreciate what you've got till it's gone. That's what I sort of keep thinking is that, you know, Dave, our media manager, and I had been looking forward to this West Tigers game at Leichhardt, and we've been talking about it for ages. We're going to go to Leichhardt Oval, make a day of it, have some burgers and some beers. And then it was like, oh, well, it's actually not on, and it was actually really, really disappointing. And so we'd been looking forward to it for so long, and now I know that next, like when it's all NRL's back up and running and tickets go on sale, I'm not going to wait till last minute to buy my ticket. I'm going to buy it as soon as possible, because I reckon it's probably going to sell out very quickly because everyone is just itching to get back into it.
Yeah, exactly. I think you know, even though you do appreciate it so much when it's here, I think that there was now a feeling that we were sort of taking sport for granted. And talking about taking things for granted, we've got two of our guests coming on, 2 Mariners legends. We've got 2 guys that are still involved with the club, 2 Mariners legends. We're joined by Nick Montgomery and Andre Gumprecht. How are you guys?
Hey Tyson, how are you? Carly?
How are you?
Hey. Excellent to have you both on. I guess I'll start with Monty. So with your NPL boys this year, how are you juggling keeping them involved right now? Obviously, their season's come to a bit of a halt. You sort of, you know, need to maintain their fitness, but you also need to, you know, abide by the social distancing and those regulations. So, how are things working out with you?
First, I just want to say hi to Tyson. Obviously, it's good that he's back in the country and back involved with the Mariners. So let's get that out of the way. But look, in terms of you know, in terms of the NPL boys, it's it's pretty surreal for everybody at the minute. It's, you know, you wake up every day and you know, I'm doing the same thing, thinking, you know, is this really happening? But you know, the reality is that virtually everything in the world's been put on hold. So in terms of the young boys, you know, we had a fantastic NYL season, just finished second behind Sydney, and then we sort of kept the boys going. We pushed them. You know, we got a good fitness level, and then as we rolled into the NPL season, we started really strong. We had a win and a draw, and then all of a sudden, obviously everything's been put on hold. So yeah, it's been a strange time. It's you know, it's one where, you know, my main message to the players has been, look, you know, you've put a lot of hard work in. You know, right now nobody knows when we're going to be back in, so it's just really important that you guys do your, you know, we sent them a training program. We've interacted with them on, you know, on Zoom with some people that, you know, I've asked them some questions and set them some tasks to do, you know, while they're at home. So really, it's, you know, we say it's out of our control what's happening now, but the message to the players from me is, look, this is in your control. You know, you get up every day. You've got your training program. You've got your strength program. You know, you've got your, you know, you get your routine set so that every day you're getting up and you're making sure that you're not losing all the hard work that you've put in over the last couple of months, so that when we do get back, then, you know, we hit the ground running. So, you know, it's been a strange couple of weeks, but I think that's got to be the message moving forward.
And Gumps, just quickly before we go to you, Monty, you're outnumbered in your household now, four women to one. You've had a birthday in the household as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're going with the family there at your place?
Yeah, look, like you said, I'm being bullied at the minute. I've got 4 girls, including the dog, against me at the minute. So, look, yesterday was my twin girls, Chloe and Leah's 9th birthday. So, my wife sort of, does what she does, and she come up with some crazy ideas. And we filled the bedrooms with balloons. So when they woke up, there was pink and purple balloons all over, their 2 favourite colours. And then we organised, you're going to laugh, but we organised like a drive-by present drop. So we set up the garage. Because it was raining, we set up the garage, we sort of partitioned it off. The girls sat at the back of the garage, and people drove into the driveway with music playing, happy birthday music, and then it was like a drop-off of presents. And then my wife sort of wiped them all down with antibacterial wipes, and then the girls opened them. So look, one thing is for sure, they'll definitely remember their 9th birthday, because it was pretty surreal. Well,
you're a man of many talents, Monty, so it's good to hear you're keeping everyone busy at home. Another man who's keeping busy at home as well is Gumps, which we'll get onto a little bit later. But I guess for the Mariners fans at home, you're heavily involved with the academy, and you have been for some time now. Can you just give the fans a bit of an update as to what your role is at the Mariners and what you've been up to?
So I have been appointed probably a year ago to be part of a new program we tried for youth players on the Central Coast, and we included our most talented kids there and not sending them to Sydney. And we had some mixed feedback over this year, and this year we tried to expand on this and continue doing this, because it was partially very successful, because we were able to engage more numbers and more players, and that's essentially what you want. And on top of this, we have this year tried to enter back into the SAP space, what is obviously run very professionally in Sydney. And we thought that there would be a great test for our best youth players in the age groups under 9s to under 12s, females and males, of course. To extend their knowledge and their development, and see if we can mix it with people or players in Sydney. And my role in that whole program is to be the technical director, to oversee every coach who's coaching at every age group. And on top of that, my job is to provide content that training can be done in the best possible way, so that kids can learn football to the finest degree, because that's what we want. We want to give Monty plenty of talents, so he may overtake Sydney one day.
You've been
next season, Gumps, next season.
And Gumps, you've been a fantastic example, not only with your work up at Central Coast Sports College, but you've also built your own home gym. It looks like the most complex, and it probably looks like a lot of physical work to actually build it yourself. How long did it take you? And because it's a pretty interesting setup you've got.
Yeah.
I always dreamed of an outdoor gym. I used to be very fascinated of the CrossFit community, and I joined those guys, and those guys trying to do everything outdoors. And this virus all of a sudden hit the earth, and I said, wow, I can actually see that everything gets shut. So I obviously, with my gym membership and everything else, because I do like being physically active as much as I can. And I could see that the gym would be closed soon, because the numbers of the virus, it just got up. I said, oh, I need to set something up, or I miss out on training. And I said, all right, one day I looked what I had on material, I went into the backyard, watched a couple of YouTube videos, and dug 2 holes and put 2 big posts in there. And because I wanted to build a chin-up bar and a squat rack, because they your compound moves knows all about that. You have certain moves you do even as a footballer, as any sport or athlete in the world. You have certain movements you do all the time. Probably the weight will vary, but those exercises you're coming always across, and I wanted to do them, and I built the gym and I dug 2 huge holes, and I bought 6 bags of concrete cement, right? And when I threw 6 bags in, I had to realize that I had to go back to Bunnings and buy another 20 because I totally underestimated the size of the holes. And now, if you want to get them out, you actually need a tank or a truck to remove them because they are rock solid.
Well, I think outside of Mariners TV, we've got a breakaway show. It's going to be DIY at home with Gumps. He sounds like an absolute expert builder. And based on those videos as well, we've seen that you've kept the rig in good shape, Gumps. So it looks like you're doing well there. Another guy who keeps his rig in good shape as well is Monty. Mate, just can you give us a bit of an insight? We know that you've been pursuing your coaching badges as well. You were set for a trip to Europe to start to finalise those. Has this situation put those on hold, and where are you at with your coaching qualifications?
Yeah, well, look, Tyson, as we speak, I should be in Switzerland, sort of doing the main part of the Pro License, UEFA Pro License coaching badge. And that was a trip to Switzerland to UEFA headquarters where all the sort of candidates from Europe sort of descend on the headquarters there and sort of, do the main part of the Pro License, which I've been doing for the last 2 years. So obviously that was put on hold. I didn't get a chance to catch up with you in Switzerland, so we'll have to catch up at some point on the coast when we can. So yeah, look, for me, I started the coaching badges while I was still playing, and yeah, the Pro License is the last one to tick off. So look, I'm not sure now whether we'll do the final sort of couple of modules online. I'm just waiting to find out, but yeah, it's it's been a tough journey, but it's been one of great learning. And yeah, been able to sort of coach our MYL, MPL under 23, under 20s groups every single morning. With my assistant Sergio has been a massive learning curve, and one for me that has been vitally important for my growth as a coach.
And a final question for you both. We asked Matty Ryan this as well. Your greatest Mariners moment?
Well, I'll let Gumps go first because he's a bit older than me.
Thanks. My greatest Mariners moment, without a doubt, was the very first year when we played in the grand final versus Sydney. Unfortunately, we obviously lost that game, but just the whole Central Coast, the whole invasion of playing in Sydney, going there, presenting our colours, and then coming back to the Central Coast at the Central Coast Leagues Club, and people standing there and waving, and the whole atmosphere was spectacular. It was probably my best moment because no one was expecting anything. We were always the underdogs. No one actually counted us in any of those grand final situations, and it was absolutely spectacular. And yeah, great memories.
Well, Gumps, you've been one of those people that have come to the Central Coast that have never been able to leave, so we remember that season so fondly as well. So thank you for all the fond memories, and long may they continue. Monty, what have you got for us? What's your favourite Mariners moment?
Look, pretty similar to Gumps. Look, my first season here, obviously I knew the club had really pushed on and been really unlucky in some grand finals, especially the season before I came, where they lost in Brisbane. But I sort of, for me, coming that season, coming from England where I'd spent all my career, sort of coming and just the whole season really. I mean, you'll probably remember, Tyson. It was we had the Life with the Mariners sort of program that went on, and I think that season we just had. I know you had Maty Ryan on the phone before, but we just had a real good mix of experience and youth, and I looked around the squad and got to know everybody. It just sort of picked momentum up. I just remember that season I played every single game, and then I got my first red card ever in the semi-final when we beat Victory 1-0, which meant I actually would miss the final, which was devastating after playing every single game. But look, I knew we'd win that game. And just seeing the boys after in the changing room and sort of knowing that I'd played a big part in helping the club to win that first championship, and just looking around, and like Gump said then when we came back to the coast and sort of did the open top bus, I've been fortunate. I've done that back in England at Sheffield United when we were promoted to the Premier League. But I mean, look, the Central Coast is a quiet place, but Gosford that day was buzzing, and it was just great memories. But yeah, probably that season in general was probably my best moment. As well as wearing the armband, which is always a nice achievement at any club.
Beautiful.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been Monty and Gumps. It's been really good to catch up. Hopefully we can do it again in person soon. Gumps will contact you about your DIY show. Monty, maybe a bit of a fitness coaching show as well, but it's been a pleasure to have you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all ours. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
It's always good. How good is it for a football club to continue to have people like that involved?
Exactly, and that's one of those things, when you move to the coast, you just don't want to leave. It's so good. We've just got a couple of quick commercials that we'll do for our wonderful sponsors, and then we'll be back.
Hey guys, Matt Simon from the Mariners here. I'm here with Jordan, checking out the Marinda display suite. Come down and check it out, the Pinnacle.
Mining and construction, delivering the right people to the right places.
A football club's nothing without its sponsors. One of my personal favourites is a man that I'm sure is watching at home, Dan Campbell. I didn't let you know this beforehand, but every time we mention Synergy FM, he's going to give us a roll of toilet paper.
Oh, well, I'll just keep saying Synergy FM because we are nearly out and I can't get it anywhere.
Synergy FM.
Yes, we'll just rename it Synergy FM TV.
So if you've got a bit more cash, Dan Campbell, you can definitely get some more ad space, but that's all we can give you for now. But in all honesty, one thing that I know a lot of people at the club hold close to their heart is how involved the sponsors are. It must be great for you to have so many good sponsors at the club.
It is, and it's, I guess, again, in times like this, where it's really showing, the passion and the loyalty of people, the wonderful, amazing crew at Fruit for All, they're obviously, going gangbusters at the moment because everyone's coming to try and get their fresh produce and things like that, but they're still reaching out and they're still helping us out by, donating fruit and veg that we can send out to people and really, just wanting to be involved. And we can't thank, and I think Fruit for All have been with us since day one. So the loyalty from them is just amazing. And we have so many sponsors like it. And it's one of the reasons that we're able to do a show like this. Without JC Entertainment, we wouldn't be able to put this on. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how good or bad we are. But, the fact that they've got this amazing studio. So as you can see, it's a bit more high-tech than the last one we did. It's an actual studio set. We've kept Usain and the sauce bottles and all of that there. So, and it's, these hard-working people that are still, trucking on during these times, we want to be able to make sure that we can still help them at the same time. Yeah,
you mentioned Fruit for All, Nick and Sula, people like Andrew Poll from Master Foods, the team at Six Strings. You've got Tonkin Drysdale Partners, who are the sponsor of our next guest, Alan Stajic, which we are getting online at the moment. But without these people and the support of their club, I don't think people understand how crucial their support is. I think for me, there's two real key things that keep the football club ticking away, and that's volunteers and the sponsors. So I guess, in these testing times, it's, of course, crucial that we say thank you to our sponsors, our volunteers, and without them, like Carly mentioned, we wouldn't be able to do Mariners TV. We wouldn't really be able to do much without those sponsors.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for all your support, and hopefully we can be back out there kicking the ball soon.
Yeah, and even with our volunteers, some of you who come to our games, you'll know that we have a match day program called the Loose Cannon. We have actually, we're going to continue to do that so that, there's something still that you can engage with each week. There's things that you can, if you want, you can print it out and turn it into your own little book and, read along. But there are activities in there for the kids and all that. And we do a profile on a volunteer each week. So, and the volunteer we profiled this week was Alga Sudis, who's, our volunteer team leader. So you can go on and find out more about our wonderful volunteers. And if you want to volunteer, you can find out about how you can be involved.
Huge thank you to the crew there of volunteers we've had since day one. There's so many there that have been there since day one. At the moment, we're lucky to throw to our next guest.
Yes.
We've got the head coach on the line. I think he can hear us. Staj, you there?
I can, Tyson. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. It's nice to see you back in our country.
Thank you so much, mate.
Is it really?
No, I don't actually have to look at him, so it's all right.
Yeah, that's...
Well, I can see you, and I can see
you.
I can see you at home. I guess first question, mate. You've been a full-time coach for the best part of 12 years now. For most of that time, you're from country to country. You're travelling around. It must be really nice to be at home, spending some quality time with the family.
Yeah, for sure. Probably 20 years, actually. But, look, it has been nice from that respect. Obviously, tough times for the world and for our country and our communities. But, for me personally, it's been nice to spend a bit of time with the children. Even though I have to say homeschooling my 10-year-old's probably harder than coaching 50 teams put together all at once. So that's not the easiest thing in the world, as any parent will attest to. But, look, it's been good to reconnect with them for sure.
And at the moment, it feels like Australian football is at a bit of a crossroads, and maybe it's a chance for the game to reset. Where do you see the future of the A-League, the Mariners and Australian football in general after this?
Yeah, look, obviously there's been a lot of discussion in recent times, and a lot of people are talking about a reset and things that we need to look forward to. And there's been so many words thrown up in the air: promotion, relegation, A-League 1, 2 divisions, NPLs, selling more players, our development pathways, and hearing the Viduka interview the other day and reading Rob Sherman's seven-page sort of expose and listening to Les Scheinflug the other day. There's a lot of things that are going on in Australian football, in recent times, and especially in the last 2 or 3 days, and people are starting to really focus on what we do as part of this reset. How do we actually get back on track? And I think everyone would admit that the game has probably dropped away in the last few years at every level, from national teams to A-League and even further down the pecking order. So how do we re-energise and revitalise our competitions and our whole pathway for all the footballers, so they can engage more in every level, and that's for boys and girls. So, I think a lot of people have been thinking about that and talking about that, and certainly in the last 2 weeks I've had a lot more, opportunity to really focus on what, some ideas that I think would probably work or could work as part of, a big picture thing for Australian football.
I guess more specifically, Staj, in our own backyard, this is a challenge like you've probably never had and never will have as a head coach. How do you stay engaged with the rest of your coaching staff, your players? What are the strategies you put in place at a time like this to stay connected, to ensure that everyone's doing okay?
Yeah, look, it's tough times for everyone, and obviously health is first and foremost a priority for everyone, and we're all not connected at the moment physically. So, we've been touching base with the players, informally, once a week or whenever we can, and handed out some suggested home training programs for them to be doing while we're off. Staff I talk to, every day or every second day to all the different staff members. And we stay in touch as much as we can. And ultimately, there's a lot of things out of our control at the moment, if and when we do come back, and, what that might look like and when that might happen. So there's so many things that are up in the air. So just basically staying in touch and making sure everyone's, healthy, everyone's well-being is okay, and making sure we're staying in touch as much as we can with updates.
And how have you found life on the Central Coast and with the Mariners? Obviously, being able to stay in the one spot on the Central Coast with a an A-League team rather than a national team. Have you found that?
Yeah, look, it's been fantastic for me living on the Central Coast. It's having lived in Sydney my whole life, moving up there, I'm a little bit jealous that I hadn't moved up there a little bit earlier. It's such a fantastic community, such a great lifestyle up there, and in some respects, as a footballer, it's almost too nice a life. So we need to ensure that we keep a high level of professionalism within the team to make sure the players keep up their levels. It's just such a beautiful place to live. But training day in, day out's been really, how could I say, it's just so much more engaging. You get to do things every day and reflect every day and review what you've done the day before, the week before, the match before, and having the opportunity to fix it straight away and having the opportunities to try and do that at training, which you don't do in a national team. In a national team, it's really high impact and high intensity work for 2-3 weeks, and then you don't see each other again for 2 months or 3 months or sometimes even longer. So it is a different ball game, but essentially all the same principles, are still in play. Just trying to get connection, trying to get across your messages to players as best you can. And, it might be a little bit different, when it's day to day as opposed to talking to people overseas or, within large time spans away from each other, but essentially trying to get your message across and trying to get the best out of everyone. That's common across all football teams and I guess every sport as well.
Before we move on to the last question, Staj, just one thing I wanted to pick up on. You've mentioned homeschooling there. So many parents are going through that at the moment. Do you have any tips for any parents at home? No. How's it going?
No. Just begging the PM and the premiers and, everyone. Hopefully we can get rid of this virus as quick as possible and send the kids to school because, school teachers are definitely worth every cent they get. And I guess trying to teach your own kid is a little bit harder than some others. But, look, it's as I said at the beginning, it's just been great to connect with the family again. Having, basically living away from them for the last year and a half and living up on the Central Coast has been tough. So it's just been great to be at home, to be honest. And
do you have a favourite Mariners moment?
Oh, look, I've got a lot. My favourite Mariners moment was watching them beat the Wanderers in the final. I was there that day, and I was at Sydney FC at that time or around that time. So, anything that the Wanderers did where they got beat was always, a pleasure to me. So seeing the Mariners win that day was brilliant, and the crowd, the atmosphere, it was one of the best days in Australian club football. So, that was a great day for me.
It's definitely a common theme, Staj, and I guess everyone that we've got on today has spoken about that. So
I actually said to Tyson before you came on that I thought your favourite moment was going to be the day that he left.
Well, we don't want to talk about personal stuff here. Yeah.
Positive memories only, Staj.
Yeah.
No, well, thank you so much for joining us. All the best with the homeschooling. We look forward to seeing you and the team back out on the pitch very soon, and of course back at Central Coast Stadium. So thanks, Staj.
Thanks so much, Staj.
And can I say hello to all our fans and everyone, and I hope everyone's healthy and everyone's well-being's being looked after, and hopefully we see everyone back really soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Staj. I guess whether you're a head coach of an A-League team or whatever you're doing in life, everyone's trying to deal with this homeschooling.
Yes.
You've got a little one of your own at home. How are you going with it?
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't technically have to homeschool him. He's only 3. But when you try and keep a 3-year-old in your house and you can't go outside, you can't go to the park and things like that, his attention span it was already short. It's about this right now, and my patience is about the same. But yeah, I'm just very glad that Dan Murphy's is still open, and that's how I'm going with it.
And plenty of 6 strings as well, so
yes.
Making sure we've got plenty of those in the fridge. Before we wrap up, one thing we wanted to mention to everyone really quickly, soccer Twitter, the community, we're winning the battle at the moment in the trophy poll. So if you haven't seen it, ABC are running a competition to find out who has the best trophy in Australian sport. We all know that has
to be the toilet seat.
The toilet seat. So make sure you go onto the ABC social media pages. We're all voting like mad. It's up against the Ashes in the grand final. For me, I mean, the Ashes, toilet seat, it's an easy vote, so make sure you get...
Someone made a comment that it's the only trophy that you could wear while holding 2 beers. So you can't do that with the Ashes.
It gets my vote. Yeah. Carly, what do we have before we wrap up?
We have one final thing. Our good friends at Mate they visited Kai Rolls and Jordan Murray. They lived together, and they caught up with them, and
what a house.
Yeah, I know. So they caught up with them and had a bit of a chat.
Rolsey's actually a Wollongong boy, so am I. But no, I met Rolsey, you know, obviously my first session up here, and yeah, we sort of just had the same similarities with everything, and we sort of just bonded pretty quickly, and yeah, now we're roommates. Funny, very very funny. I'd say he has his mood swings at times, but you know, obviously when you live with him, you sort of, you know when the time's right to talk and to sort of leave him alone. But other than that, he's tidy, he's clean, he's always making me laugh. So it's it's good to have someone around who's always happy.
It's like talking to myself sometimes when I'm like in a convo with him, and it's always light-hearted, but at times you can be serious with each other as well, which is good. Like you've got that side with each other, so watch movies together all the time and cook together and that.
FIFA for example is pretty big in the household.
Sit on the couch for like 5 hours a day just smashing it.
No, it's good fun. Hey, it's another thing that we can just sort of leave football. Football's football, and switch off for a bit and go have a bit of rage pong. So no, it's good fun. Just the banter. That's probably the best part about living with each other, the banter. Like I said, at times where you're down and it might be a defeat, or again something's going on personally, you're always being there for them, and always making them laugh and being happy. I think that's the one thing about being a mate, and especially a housemate, is to always make sure the other one's always happy.
Well, I reckon as long as you're always there and they know that they can talk to you whenever they need and they can depend on you for stuff, then I reckon that's pretty much like all you can do.
Yeah, it's just a non-stop laughing house, so it's good. In that respect, it's always something to talk about, and it's good banter.
Two of our young guns there, Kai Rolls and Jordan Murray. Not only good players, but good people.
Yeah, very
Bit of
good
insight
guys.
there.
Very good. Those FIFA faces looks great.
Not a house that I'm sure that I want to live at, but also to have a good time. Before we wrap up, we just want to say a huge thank you to our hosts here today, JC Entertainment at West Gosford. As Carly said before, this wouldn't have been possible without them, so we just wanted to say a huge thank you. A big thank you to everyone who's tuned in to Mariners TV. As we mentioned at the start, this is going to be a fortnightly Thursdays, they tell me, not every Thursday.
Fortnightly. On every second week.
Every second week on a Thursday. So please tune in. Please provide us some feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you didn't like me, that's fine, because I'm not going to appear again, so you can say goodbye to me. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Carly and Dave and Sean and everyone for having me back here at the Mariners.
It's fantastic to have you back. I love it.
Thanks for having us, guys. Episode 2 of Mariners TV is done, and the guys will see you in a fortnight.
Thank you.